Hello guys, in this video we are going to understand how to use for loop constructs in Python. So say you've got the print statement as given in my loop.py file here. So you want to repeatedly print it 4 times. Traditionally you could type like this and then execute the statement python3.py, so you get hello 4 times. But this is too traditional and there is a lot of repetition of code. When we write code, we should strive for not repeating the code. We write code once and then we may execute it several times by calling it. We call this a dry approach towards writing our code. Our code should be dry, that is, write it once, call multiple times. So how do we do that in Python? We've got a construct called a for loop. A for loop is able to iterate over lists of items. Say you've got these numbers here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just end there. A for loop is able to iterate for each of these items. Iterate for 1, do whatever has to happen when it is pointing at 1. Then iterate for 2, do whatever has to happen when it's pointing for 2, go to 3, and then output whatever instruction it has to execute for 3 over and over again until the end of this list. Let's visualize it practically. You write it like so. So you say for, it should be small letters here. You say for iteration variable. This I, we call it an iteration variable because it's going to map each instance of execution on each of those elements of that list. So you can call it I, you can also call it E, it depends on whatever you want to call it. Because, well, those are numbers, you can even say num in range. There's a function called range which is able to generate a list of n number of items, n being the number you give to a function range. So here you say you telling Python that you are going to repeat the following instructions 4 times. So 4 times num is going to be mapped on each of those elements. First 1, second 2, third 3. Let's continue. So now because we want to print hello 4 times, we'll just take this statement here, then put it here, save, and that's it. Let's run our function. Yes, now we've got hello printed 4 times. So to repeat a set of instructions in Python, we use the for loop, and then we put in here the number of repetitions that has to happen for that for the instructions which are going to follow. If you put 10 here, then the repetition will be done, or the printing will be done 10 times. Let's run that. So you see, it's just that it's hiding here, otherwise it repeated 10 times. There is a way to visualize this range function. We can put that generated list into a Python data structure called a list. So let us say we've got our list called favorite cars. Fav cars. Let's put in here BMW. Let's put Mac or Mercedes, and also put in probably Toyota. So this is a list of favorite cars. So now, because we already have the list, we don't have to call the range function. We can just tell the iteration variable to map through each of these and print them off to the screen. So we can say for car. Remember, we said the iteration variable can be anything, but it has to be a meaningful word such that it gives meaning to the elements of the list. So you say car in fav cars, fav car, let's put an S here. For car in fav cars, do the following. So print, you can say print car, then save. Let's comment this statement so that we only execute the recent statement we have typed. So save, then let's execute. So you see, we've got BMW, we've got Mac, we've got Toyota. So sometimes you may not like it that all these items are printed out. You may like to skip some depending on what you want to do with the list. If you want to skip the elements, you use a Python construct called continue. But if you want to stop the for loop immediately after you see your item, you may use a Python construct called break. So quickly, let me show you how this works. Break and continue statements. So say here you are searching for the Mac. So you're interested in only printing when you see the Mac. And so long as you don't see the Mac, you want to continue. But when you realize that the iteration variable is now pointing at Mac, you print and then you stop. So how do you do that? Let's just copy this for loop and then paste it here. And then we'll iterate like before, but then we will test. We'll say if car is equal to Mac, because we're searching for Mac. If car is equals to Mac, we would like to print. So here you print the car. And then once you have printed that, we would like to break. Otherwise, we continue. Well, we can, if it's not a Mac, the iteration variable will continue mapping through the other cars here. Let me comment this off. It will continue the mapping until the end. But okay, I can put then here something like an implicit continue statement, but its effect won't be obvious because so long as the Mac is not found, the execution will come here, and then there's nothing to do here. It will go up here. So it's like there's an implicit continue statement here. So there's no need to even put the continue. But let's save here and see the effect of the break statement. Save, and then let's execute. See here, what happened is the car was first mapped to BMW, and then here Python tried to compare the contents of car, which is B at BMW. It's checked if it's equal to Mac. Then it realized no, it's not equal. Then execution was transferred to after the if statement here. So after the if statement, there's nothing to do. Then car continues and then points to the Mac. Then when it gets to here, it says that the Mac inside car is equals to Mac. Then it prints car and then it breaks. The break statements here means that don't continue to even test the following elements like Toyota. Just stop executing for efficiency. So let's try now to copy this break here and put it here, and then put the print statement here so that it's not inside the, put the print statement outside of the if statement, so that now the program will continue to map car to all those variables or to all those car models. But if the car is equals to Mac, we want it to skip over. We want it to not do anything else that follows in this for loop. It should skip any other following statements, like this one, this print statement here. So it should not, when it realizes that it's a Mac, want it to continue. That is, don't execute any following instructions, then map to the next model here. After Mac, then don't print, just go to Toyota. So let's come here. Let me delete this space. Let's save. So the effects of this for loop, together with the if statement and the print car, is such that the BMW will be printed, the Mac will be skipped because execution will stop here and point to the next car model, which is Toyota, and that Toyota will be printed. So only 2 car models will be printed in that way. So let's execute and see if that happens. Indeed, you can see BMW and Toyota because the Mac was skipped. Yes, that is how the break statements work in Python. So let's now try to understand how we can perform repetitive tasks using numbers. Let's comment this code so that it doesn't show in our output. Comment that. Then let's do another list. We'll say numbers here. Numbers. Assign. We'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just something like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like that. Then how can we print this? Same as before. We say for num. Remember, num can be any variable or any name you choose in numbers now. Numbers, full colon, print num. So now all those numbers will be printed. Let's try to execute and see what happens. Indeed, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 was printed to the screen. Let's say now you want to print only even numbers or only numbers less than 4. You can come here and modify here. Let's say numbers less than 4. So you say if num less than 4, then print number. Save. Otherwise, you won't print. So it will only print 1, 2, 3. Let's see if that's indeed what is happening. Yes, 1, 2, 3 only was printed. Let's try to print only even numbers. So you put here the remainder operator. In Python, the remainder operator is 2. So we'll say if num divided by 2 equals to 0, then we'll print, or in this way, then we'll print only the even numbers. Yes. So that's printing even numbers. Let's comment here. Check if it's even number. Let me save that. Then let's execute. We expect then that in this whole list, the numbers which should be printed is 2, 4, 6. Let's save and check if indeed that's what happens. Yes, that's it. So an exercise for you might be, how do we get odd numbers? You just say number %2 not equals to 0. Then you'd get odd numbers quickly or easy like that. See, 1, 3, 5. That's the output. So now, as a way to, to conclude or to make our previous knowledge concrete on functions, we would like to make a function such that it's able to loop through our given list, say cars or even numbers, and print them out. So we'll say we'll say def print list. So we'll give it some list, let's call it L. Then we'll say 4 items in L. 4 items in L. What do we do? Then you print item. It should be item here because we looping through each of the items in L. Then you save that. So let's comment the previous code so that we can see what's happening here. Comment everything. We'll comment till that part. Then let's use this function. Remember, to call a function, you have to type it out. If you just execute this part, nothing will happen because you didn't even call the function. You see, nothing happens. But we can call it by saying print print list underscore list. Then you put your list here. Remember, it should be in square brackets. 1 2 3 4. Save. Then let's execute. 1 2 3 4 is printed, as you can see here. For cleanliness, you can put the list outside here. You can say my list assign 1 2 3 4. Then you put my list here. Then you save and execute. The same happens. As a way to conclude, let's do a sum function that would print all the numbers, the sum of the numbers or on a given list. So we'll say def sum list. Then you give it the list L. Again, L is an arbitrary argument. So then here you will say for, you have to, because you are summing, you have to initialize your iteration or your cumulative, the variable you're accumulating. So you'll call that one total. Let's say total assign 0. Then you'll say for item or number in numbers total, we accumulate total assign total plus 1. Then save that. Then go outside the for loop and return the total here. Then say return total. At this stage, total has the sum of all the numbers inside the loop, or inside the list, sorry. So let's execute that. Or we have to call it first. So we'll say sum list L. L being my list here, which is 1 2 3 4. So that's 7 plus 2 plus 1. Isn't that should be 10. So we'll say sum list, my list. Sum list, my list. Let's see what happens here. Do we get 10? Oh, there is an error. Let's see. Something went wrong somewhere. Let's see. Saying trace back, most recent call loop, line 34. There is something wrong that happened in line 34. Let's go to line 34. Sum list, my list. Let's go up. Numbers is not defined. Oh yes, here numbers is in this case the given argument L. So that it's meaningful, let's not call it L. Let's call that argument numbers. Save. Then let's run the code. Wait 1 second. Sum list should return the total here, but now I'm only seeing the listing of the numbers 1 2 3 4. What happened? Let's comment everything here. Let's comment this. and we only have the sum list. Oh yes, see what happened, guys. We just, okay, 1 second, the my list, we commented it off. Let's leave it active, this one, while we hide this one. Guys, what happened here? Okay, 1 second, we have to remove the indent there. Let's execute so that we can explain what happened. So here, when you say python 3 loops.py, nothing seems to happen. It's because the total was computed and then it was thrown away. So to visualize the total, we have to say print total or assign it somewhere and print it. But let's just say print, open bracket here, then we'll come here and close like that. Then save. Then we execute python 3.py. It's giving us the sum as 4. No, something is happening here. Something strange is happening. Control S. What is in my list? My list has 1, 2, 3, 4. So the sum of this should at least be 10. So let's see what's happening here. Total is initially 0. Then in the first iteration it becomes 1. Then we add 1 to it. Oh yes, there is a problem there, guys. We should say total plus the current iteration, the current content of the iteration variable. First we'll have 1, then we'll have 2, then we've got 3. So here we should have number. At least this is practical. This is what happens also when you're writing code. You can't write seamlessly without syntax or logical errors. That was a logical error. So let's try to write that and execute. Correct. Now I've got 10 as the output. Let's end here for today. In future, we are going to practice more about loops. Hopefully we'll cover the while loop, and then I would also like to do list comprehension, which is also covering lists and also at the same time covering a for loop. Thank you so much, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Please subscribe if you want to see more content coming. Thank you so much. Have a great day.